California, the Golden State. For generations, it symbolized prosperity, opportunity, and the promise of the American dream. Families came here for good jobs, beautiful coastlines, and the chance to own a home in one of the most iconic places in the world. But in 2025, something dramatic is happening. That dream is slipping away. California is in the middle of a housing collapse that's reshaping its cities. The once red-hot real estate markets are cooling, homes are losing value, and people who once fought to move in are now packing up and moving out. Rising taxes, job losses in key industries, skyrocketing insurance, and the simple fact that incomes can't keep up with prices have created a crisis. And in this video, we're breaking down the top 10 California cities where housing prices are crashing in 2025 and beyond. If you're planning to retire in California, thinking of relocating, or even considering investing here, this list will give you the full picture. Because what's happening in California today could soon spread across the rest of the country. So let's dive into the countdown. Number 10. Stockton. Stockton has always lived in the shadow of California's more famous cities. Located in the Central Valley, about an hour and a half from San Francisco, it was long considered a cheaper alternative for families priced out of the Bay Area. During the pandemic, Stockton became one of the hottest escape cities. Homebuyers left expensive coastal metros and came here looking for larger homes, backyards, and affordability. Between 2020 and 2022, Stockton's housing market exploded, with prices rising nearly 40%. But now, in 2025, the trend has reversed. Median home prices have dropped by about 15% in the last year, and in some neighborhoods, sellers are slashing asking prices by $50,000 or even $75,000 just to generate offers. Why is Stockton collapsing? First, the job market is fragile. Stockton depends heavily on logistics, warehousing, and agriculture. These industries were hit hard by inflation and global supply chain disruptions. Many families who bought homes during the boom are now facing reduced hours, layoffs, or stagnant wages, making it harder to keep up with mortgages. Second, Stockton struggles with perception. The city has long battled high crime rates and underfunded schools. For buyers considering where to settle down, these issues weigh heavily. Retirees who once saw Stockton as a budget-friendly option now worry about safety and rising healthcare costs, and many are choosing to leave instead of buy. What makes Stockton important in this countdown is that it shows how even affordable California cities aren't safe. The collapse here isn't just about luxury condos or million-dollar homes. It's happening in working-class neighborhoods, too. Number 9. Riverside. Riverside, located in the Inland Empire of Southern California, has always been one of the fastest-growing regions of the state. For years, it was marketed as the answer for families priced out of Los Angeles or Orange County. You could get a bigger house, a backyard, and decent schools, all within a drivable distance of the coast. During the pandemic, Riverside saw an explosion of demand. Thousands of families moved eastward, believing that remote work would allow them to keep their jobs in LA while living in a more affordable city. Prices soared, with median home values climbing to levels that shocked longtime residents. But in 2025, Riverside's story has flipped. Home values have fallen 12 to 18% compared to their peaks, and listings are sitting for weeks without offers. The Inland Empire's job market hasn't been able to support these inflated prices. While logistics and warehouse jobs dominate here, wages are relatively low compared to housing costs. Families who once stretched to buy are now struggling to afford not just their mortgages, but also rising taxes, utilities, and insurance. Commutes have also become a deal breaker. Many residents thought they could tolerate driving into Los Angeles, but with traffic returning and remote work policies tightening, the burden is too heavy. Fewer buyers want to take on a long commute for a house that's still expensive by national standards. For retirees, Riverside was once pitched as a sunny, affordable option. But now, rising property taxes and California's overall high cost of living are erasing those advantages. The promise of affordability here has crumbled, leaving Riverside as a cautionary tale of overgrowth and overpricing. Number 8. Bakersfield. Bakersfield has long been considered California's budget-friendly big city. Situated in the Central Valley, it attracted retirees on fixed incomes, working families, and agricultural workers who couldn't dream of affording homes in Los Angeles or the Bay Area. For decades, Bakersfield's low housing costs were its biggest selling point. But even in Bakersfield, the housing collapse is hitting hard. Prices have fallen between 10 and 15% in the past year alone. That may sound modest compared to coastal declines, but here, where incomes are already far below the state average, that drop is devastating. Homeowners who bought during the pandemic boom are watching their equity disappear. Part of the problem lies in Bakersfield's economy. Agriculture is the backbone of the region, but ongoing drought conditions and water restrictions are hurting farmers and workers alike. At the same time, oil and energy jobs, once plentiful, have shrunk as California pushes for a green energy future. With fewer stable jobs, fewer families can afford to buy, and prices are collapsing as a result. Life in Bakersfield was supposed to be affordable, but rising costs are everywhere. Utilities, insurance, healthcare, and even groceries. Retirees who thought Bakersfield would stretch their pensions further are finding that it no longer feels like a safe bet. What Bakersfield tells us is this: even the cheapest parts of California are not safe from this housing downturn. When incomes don't match costs, affordability collapses, no matter how affordable a city seemed before. We've started our list with Stockton, Riverside, and Bakersfield, 3 cities that once promised affordability but are now unraveling. But here's the real question. If smaller, budget-friendly cities are collapsing this quickly, what does that mean for California's most expensive metros? Stick with me, because the cities coming up next include San Francisco, Los Angeles, and San Diego. And what's happening there could change the entire future of California's housing market. Number 7. Sacramento. Sacramento, California's capital city, has always been known as a political hub, but over the last 2 decades, it transformed into one of the state's fastest-growing housing markets. Families fleeing the Bay Area's insane home prices came here for bigger houses, decent schools, and the promise of a more relaxed lifestyle. During the pandemic years, Sacramento became a hot destination. Remote workers poured in, driving up demand and pushing home prices to levels that locals could barely believe. Between 2019 and 2022, home prices in Sacramento surged by nearly 50%. Houses that once sold for $350,000 were suddenly listing above $550,000. But in 2025, the tide has turned. Sacramento's housing prices have fallen 15 to 20% from their peak. Entire neighborhoods that were built to attract Bay Area commuters are struggling to find buyers. Homes that once sold in a week now sit for months, with price cuts of $30,000, $50,000, or even $100,000. The reason is affordability. Sacramento's government-heavy job market doesn't pay Bay Area salaries, yet housing rose as if it did. State budget cuts have also slowed hiring, meaning less demand from government workers. Add in California's high property taxes and insurance hikes, and Sacramento is no longer the affordable refuge it was marketed to be. For retirees, the city is also less appealing. Healthcare costs are rising, crime rates have ticked up, and the overall cost of living is far higher than many expected. Sacramento, once the backup plan for families and retirees who couldn't afford San Francisco, is now struggling to keep people from leaving. Number 6. Oakland. For years, Oakland was billed as San Francisco's more affordable neighbor. It had culture, diversity, and access to the Bay, all without the million-dollar price tags of San Francisco. Young professionals, artists, and even retirees moved here in search of balance, but Oakland has been hit especially hard by California's housing collapse. Prices are down nearly 20% from their 2022 highs, and the market shows no signs of stabilizing. Entire condo developments that once marketed themselves to Silicon Valley commuters are now full of unsold units. Sellers are cutting prices drastically, but demand continues to weaken. The challenges go beyond housing. Oakland has faced rising crime, visible homelessness, and a downtown that never fully recovered from the pandemic. These issues make potential buyers hesitant, even when prices drop. Families are choosing to move eastward to Central Valley cities or out of California altogether rather than settle in Oakland. Investors who once snapped up properties here are retreating too. The days when Oakland was considered the smart buy near San Francisco are over. For retirees, the city is especially unattractive. The cost of living is high, safety concerns are rising, and the housing downturn only adds uncertainty. Oakland reflects a bigger truth. California's collapse isn't just about affordability, it's also about quality of life. And when both affordability and livability are in question, buyers simply walk away. Number 5. San Diego. San Diego has long been one of California's jewels. With its perfect climate, stunning beaches, strong military presence, and vibrant culture, it was considered a dream location, if you could afford it. For decades, San Diego was one of the most expensive housing markets in the nation, but demand never seemed to stop. That changed in 2025. Housing prices in San Diego have dropped 12 to 18% in the past year. The once insatiable demand for coastal homes has cooled as higher mortgage rates and rising insurance costs priced out many buyers. Even in San Diego's most desirable neighborhoods, sellers are offering concessions, something unthinkable just a few years ago. The city's problem is simple. Wages don't match housing costs. The average household income in San Diego doesn't come close to supporting the median home price, especially in today's rate environment. Families who stretched during the pandemic now face ballooning expenses, while retirees are hit hard by rising healthcare and property taxes. Even the rental market is softening. Vacancy rates are climbing, forcing landlords to reduce rents to attract tenants. Investors who bought vacation rentals or Airbnb properties at the peak are seeing declining returns. San Diego still has beauty and charm, but in 2025, the reality is that fewer people can afford to live there. The housing collapse is pulling the curtain back on the uncomfortable truth. Lifestyle alone can't save a market from economic fundamentals. Number 4. San Jose. San Jose, the beating heart of Silicon Valley, was once the epicenter of California's housing boom. Tech money poured in, driving home values to unimaginable levels. $1 million starter homes and $3,000 rents were the norm. For years, the narrative was that San Jose was immune to downturns because tech was too powerful. But by 2025, San Jose has proven that no city is immune. Home values here are down more than 20% from their pandemic highs, and the correction is still underway. The main reason? Tech layoffs and remote work. Thousands of high-paying jobs have been cut, and many workers who kept their jobs are leaving for states like Texas or Florida, where housing is more affordable. The luxury housing market has been hit especially hard. Condos built for tech workers are sitting empty, and sellers are cutting prices by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Even family homes in established neighborhoods are seeing sharp declines. For retirees, San Jose is now one of the least appealing cities in California. The cost of living is still sky high, but the sense of stability has disappeared. With fewer tech jobs, declining demand, and falling prices, the future looks uncertain. San Jose's crash is symbolic. If even Silicon Valley, the global center of technology and wealth creation, can see its housing market collapse, then no city in California is truly safe. We've seen Sacramento's affordability crumble, Oakland's crime and housing problems deepen, San Diego's paradise struggle with reality, and even Silicon Valley's San Jose start to fall. But the top 3 cities on this list, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and one more surprise entry, show just how deep California's housing collapse really goes. And trust me, number 1 on this list may shock you the most. Number 3, Los Angeles, the city of dreams, Hollywood, beaches, and endless sunshine. For decades, LA has been the cultural capital of the United States, attracting people from all over the world. But in 2025, LA's housing market is facing a painful reality check. Median home prices in Los Angeles have fallen between 15 and 20% in the past year. Luxury markets, especially in Beverly Hills, Santa Monica, and Malibu, are seeing some of the sharpest declines. Multi-million-dollar homes are sitting on the market for months, and price cuts of $500,000 or more are becoming common. At the same time, middle-class neighborhoods are struggling. The cost of living in LA is simply unsustainable for many families. High taxes, soaring insurance premiums, and everyday costs, from gas to groceries, are driving people out. Add in rising crime rates and a homelessness crisis that the city has failed to control, and demand is collapsing. For retirees, Los Angeles is especially tough. The promise of beaches and entertainment is offset by sky-high healthcare costs, crowded infrastructure, and declining safety. Even those with stable pensions find it hard to stretch their income in this city. Los Angeles shows how fragile even the most glamorous markets can be. A city that once symbolized luxury and opportunity is now becoming a place that more and more people are leaving behind. Number 2, San Francisco. If there is one city that symbolizes California's housing roller coaster, it's San Francisco. For years, the city was at the center of the tech boom, driving housing costs into the stratosphere. Tiny apartments rented for thousands of dollars, and home ownership was a dream reserved only for the wealthy. But in 2025, San Francisco is collapsing. Home values are down more than 20%, with condos in the downtown core taking the hardest hit. Once thriving neighborhoods are full of vacant properties, and sellers are dropping prices by hundreds of thousands just to get offers. The reasons are many: tech layoffs, a rise in remote work, a struggling downtown economy, and quality of life issues like crime and homelessness. The tech exodus has left San Francisco with declining demand and a shrinking tax base. Even high-income earners are choosing to leave the city for states like Nevada, Arizona, and Texas. Retirees who once dreamed of walking along the bay or enjoying the city's culture now see San Francisco as unaffordable and unsafe. The city's collapse isn't just financial, it's emotional. San Francisco has lost the allure that once made it one of the most desirable places in the world. San Francisco's story is a warning. Even the most iconic cities can crumble when affordability, livability, and job growth all fall apart at the same time. Number 1, Fresno. And now we come to number 1, Fresno. For years, Fresno was considered the affordable heart of California. It was the place where families priced out of the Bay Area or Southern California could still buy a home, and where retirees thought they could stretch their pensions further. But in 2025, Fresno's housing market is collapsing faster than anywhere else in the state. Prices have fallen 18 to 22% in just the past year. That's the sharpest decline of any major California city. Why? Because Fresno's economy simply cannot sustain the housing boom that happened here. Agriculture, the backbone of the region, is under pressure from drought and water restrictions. Jobs are scarce, wages are low, and families who bought at inflated pandemic-era prices are struggling to keep up with mortgage payments. At the same time, Fresno faces many of the same problems as bigger California cities: rising crime, homelessness, and increasing costs for everything from utilities to healthcare. Retirees who thought Fresno would offer peace of mind are now seeing their home values vanish while their living expenses rise. Fresno's collapse is perhaps the clearest sign of California's housing crisis. When even the most affordable city in the state is no longer affordable and no longer stable, it shows just how deep the problem runs. So there you have it, the top 10 California cities where housing prices are collapsing in 2025 and beyond. From Stockton and Bakersfield to San Francisco and Los Angeles, no part of the state has been spared. California is facing a housing correction that's reshaping lives, families, and entire communities. And while the pain is most visible here, the lessons apply across the United States. The big question is, will California recover, Or is this the beginning of a long-term decline in one of America's most iconic states? I'd love to hear what you think. Would you still buy a home in California today? Or are you one of the many people planning to move out? Share your thoughts in the comments. I read each one. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. That way you'll never miss our deep dives into the most important trends shaping America's future.